everyone. Welcome to another episode of Anything and Everything with Donna Lisa. I'm your host, Donna Lisa, and today my special guest is Savannah Schaffer. She is a life coach and a content creator. Welcome, Savannah.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. This is seriously such an honor to have me on, so thank you very much.
Yes. So, funny story. So you and I actually got in contact with each other because you reached out this time.
Yeah.
Usually it's the opposite way.
Totally.
I stalk people on social media. I always like to say stalk, but I do. I look for good content that might be, beneficial to my audience, right?
Yeah.
So for you actually reached out. So I'm curious to know why you reached out.
Yes. So I actually, just being so honest, I was researching all of the different podcasts in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And I was trying to find podcasts that I felt like aligned with me, preferably like women. That was kind of one of the big things. And I just saw kind of some of the titles of some of your podcasts. And I was like, okay, this could be something that I think could work. So I reached out to about 5, maybe 6 on a random day that I was like.
So how many of them responded to you?
I think maybe 2 or 3.
Really?
And then,
I'm surprised.
But the 2 that did were they just not serious at all. And so then you actually responded. And I think you responded a little bit like later. Like
it was later.
After I even remembered that I sent these reach outs.
Right.
But I knew that I wanted to get myself in front of more people. I really am in this space now where I've talked to all my friends and family.
Nice.
I've hit all the people that I've gone to school with and everything. And I feel like I have a really good connection with a lot of the people in Vegas, but it's all around my age group. And I really want to expand that. And I want to talk to more people. And I've got good things to say, clearly.
Nice.
No, but I really want
awesome.
more people just to hear kind of different ways of thinking and be open to new belief systems and cool things like that.
So I know a lot of people are getting into that right now. That's kind of the, so did you get into this after COVID or during COVID?
Yeah. So I have been in content creation since 2017. Or no, I'm sorry. 2018, sorry. I was 17
most
and a half.
of you at that age are into it pretty deep.
Yeah. So I was 17 and a half when I first started my online business, and I was mentoring women in business, and I was teaching them basically how to make sales through social media.
Wow. And at the age of 17?
Yes. I had some really good mentors myself. And then once I was connected with all these people, I was like, you know what? I am loving this space. I love mentoring. I also love selling, and social media is just booming every single day more and more. So it felt like it felt like an opportunity fell into my lap that I just couldn't turn down, and I was so excited for. So I jumped into that opportunity. I was with a direct sales company training hundreds and mentoring hundreds of young women.
So this wasn't your company yet.
Exactly. But it was still I handled all my clients. I was helping everyone, and I was the one training everyone, things like that. But it was underneath another company that I was under. So it was so special. I stuck with the company for about 4.5 years. And then this year is kind of the year that everything I wanted to be on my own. I wanted to be everything Savannah Schaffer, and not if I'm going to make money for someone, it should be for myself and not for someone else. And I know that I've got skills that are really unique. And especially at my age, I knew that I wanted to get myself just to help as many people as possible. And I almost felt like I was limiting myself only teaching sales on how to sell on social media. Yeah. So that's why I ended up stepping into life coaching, because life coaching was just... It just resonated with me, and it was something that I always wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do mentoring and life coaching long term, but I thought that would be something that I did maybe when I was 25, 26.
Right.
It wasn't something that I thought was in the cards for me so soon, but honestly, I've got a really supportive partner, and he's someone who always tells me why are you waiting? What are you waiting for? Why aren't you just going after these things? And I think that having someone so supportive and always in my corner and really pushing me out of my comfort zone, it really made me feel so comfortable stepping out and just being you know what, I'm just gonna throw it at the wall, see what happens. And that was January of this year. And then I had my baby girl in February.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
February, I'm curious, what is her
February
birthday?
19th.
Oh my gosh, my daughter's birthday is February 20th.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I was due on the 21st.
Oh, wow.
So she came 2 days early and it was the best thing ever. But stepping into this space at the same time as having a baby was, I just feel like such a great thing for me because everything was in my control. Everything was on my name. Everything was like, it was just so real and vulnerable. And that's what my entire social media is. My social media is very real and authentic. And I've been through a phase in my life, like probably when I was first starting my business, where I wanted everything to look flashy and like I was making the most money and I was the coolest and everyone needs to do what I do. And now I'm just so like, no, like let me show you the good, the bad, the ugly, the disgusting. Like my birth was very like open and honest. Like every single thing that I've been through, I've been so honest about.
Did you do like a interesting that you say that, you talk about your birth. So my niece, my cousin's daughter, actually did the same with hers, young, just like you. She's probably a couple years older than you.
Okay.
And just blew up on social media. So she started documenting her second, this was her second pregnancy, and she did an all-natural birth with the doula.
Wow.
And
amazing.
The amount of followers she got, she's very natural and organic. Marina, if you're listening, I'm talking about you.
Yes.
She's so sweet. I just saw her this weekend and her kids. But
That's
it's
so
nice to see like younger people your age that are getting into that and just wanting to be out there. I know the company I work for, I'm much older than you, but I handle their marketing and social media, and I had to convince them. These are like older corporate men, right? I'm like, you guys have to get on TikTok. We're an events company. And they're like, absolutely not. And I'm like, that's the generation we're trying to target, the young meeting planners. And but it's interesting. I see you two girls like that are in it. A lot of the younger people that I work with, they're just not all about social media. They're very private, which is fine. I can respect that. A lot of people want to be private, right?
Totally.
You put yourself out there and everyone has access to your whole life.
Yeah.
But when you're open about it, like you and Marina, you can resonate with a lot of other people out there, and they just start following you.
Yes.
And I mean, I think it's cool.
And it's what we all go through as women. Like,
it's not like the fake social media stuff. Yeah.
That and like, I just think that I wish I would have had someone like me to look at and actually see, what is this experience really like? Like, is it as beautiful as everyone says? Or like, are there moments that are hard? And there's definitely moments that are hard. And it's a fight. I mean, my entire pregnancy, none of this was planned. I did not have a planned pregnancy. I got pregnant at 21.
Any of us did.
Right. I feel like not your first.
Right.
Your first.
I wasn't prepared for mine.
Like I just getting pregnant so young was a huge shock to not only me, but my family, my boyfriend. My boyfriend's 11 years older than me.
Okay.
So it's all a bunch of things that are like, what is happening? I remember when I called my grandma and told her I was pregnant, she was like, are you guys getting married right now? And I was like,
yeah, that's usually what they ask, right?
Exactly. And it's just everyone has their own experience. And I think that it's so special that we all have our own journeys and our own things that we go through. And when I get to share about those hard moments that I've been through, it always goes so far, and people appreciate it more than anything. They're like, I love following you because you're a real person. You're not a Kylie Jenner that's just perfect and beautiful. You're showing like you deal with mental health issues. You deal with things that aren't exactly perfect. And I love being that person that kind of breaks the stigma of like, I still think that your life can look a certain way, but there's no one ever knows what's going on behind the scenes. And the more people that I connect with, I realize that like we all have our own challenges. We all have our own things going on, and we're all very private in those moments. But when you can share those things and be vulnerable, it brings you closer in a different way that you'd never know. Even when I got on the phone with you, when we talked about like you going through the history with different like breast cancer and all those things, like I connected with that because my mom dealt with the same thing. And then it makes me see you differently because you were open and honest and vulnerable with me. Whereas like if you were to say, okay, yeah, come on my podcast, I wouldn't know the connection that we have behind it. So I just think that being vulnerable and honest it just goes so far, and like showing up in that way with like a lot of love towards other people that are going in through those situations. It's special. And you don't get those experiences and those connections often.
Right.
And it's like, just, I'm all about trying to make the most out of every single connection that you make, whether it's at the grocery store or it's someone who you've known for 20 years that you're like, wow, I feel like I've never even had a real conversations with this person.
Right. No, and I love that you talk about that because it's true. Like when you start documenting your real life, because social media to some people is just fake, right?
Totally.
Everyone does what they need to do to look great,
a certain way.
right? They have the perfect life. They have the perfect job. They have the perfect children.
Absolutely.
They have the perfect spouse. And it's not always the case. Like we all go through ups and downs.
Yeah.
I know for a fact when I documented, and I try to be a little private, but since I started my podcast, I'm like, you know what? I've got to start putting myself out there. But when I actually talked about and posted about my breast cancer journey.
Yep.
I had no idea. I had about 3 friends, not close to me, but 3 acquaintances that said, hey, right when I was going through, I think it was right after I posted about my surgery, and then I was going through my chemo treatments.
Yep.
They reached out and said, hey, I just want to say like thank you because, I posted on like, I think it was like Breast Cancer Awareness Day, Breast Cancer Month, all that stuff. And they were like, I had no idea you were going through this, but seeing you go through it and being so positive, I'm like, look, you could either, like, I knew it was in it for me because it was genetic. My mom had it, of course.
Yeah.
And cancer just runs strong in my genes on both sides of the family.
Same.
But I was like, you could either be depressed about it and like life sucks, whatever, or you can move on with it. And I was still recording my podcast while I was going through chemo. I put a wig on so I look normal on camera. And on my good days, I'm like, all right, let me just do a recording.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Now, I went from weekly episodes to maybe monthly or every other month because that's all that I could do. Thank you. But like now I'm done with treatments, right? I'm just doing my regular checkups and I'm back at work full time. And again, everything's taken a step back. So like going back to when you said, I reached out to you like weeks later. I'm so sorry.
No, I don't care.
you reached out and I was like, let me look at my messages because I needed a break from social media for a while. Because work was just so demanding. And I looked at my messages. I'm like, oh my gosh, this poor girl reached out like weeks ago. So when I responded and you replied back, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I have another guest on the podcast. Sorry about that. I usually am very more responsive. Just life happens, life gets busy. But I'm actually glad that you're here. So thank you for like being open and honest about, your journey and how you started. So talking about life coaching, like what kind of services do you offer? What exactly is life coaching? Because I've had a couple of guests on my show recently, and I'll be honest with you. I thought, oh, you know what? I already had somebody talk about this. I wasn't going to say, hey, let's do a recording. I was just going to keep in contact with you for future. Yeah. But I was looking at your social media and I'm like, no, she's a little bit different. So there are people who are life coaches. There are business coaches. There are career coaches. What is exactly a life coach?
Yeah. So I'm just going to be real. I don't have any certifications.
Okay.
I'm not someone who has done anything by the book.
Right.
And I've really just loved helping people and helping people specifically with their mindset. So I guess you could say more so of a mindset coach maybe than a life coach. But all of my coaching is all around working on what's inside your brain because truly, if you do not have a healthy mind, I believe that you'll never have the healthy bank account that you want, the healthy relationships that you want, a good family dynamic. Like it really goes into everything, and your mental health is so important. And I think that I've really realized that over these last like 2-3 years, like since COVID. I think that COVID, it hit my family really hard.
I'm sorry.
And it was like really, really deep. It was really hard for my mom specifically.
Okay.
And for me, I realized that getting to know yourself and taking care of yourself is the most important thing.
Right.
No matter what anyone says, I think that a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's selfish. Or you turned down an event for you turned down an event with an acquaintance because you want to stay home and you want to do a face mask and paint your nails. That sounds ridiculous. That's like for a lot of people.
Relaxing.
Exactly. Like for a lot of people, they're like, well, why wouldn't you just show up for your friend? Or why wouldn't you just go to the event? Whatever. Like you should just put on your face and just go. And for me, I'm like, no, like, what I know that I need right now, because I'm so connected with myself, I know I need a night in. I don't need a night out where I'm talking to 5 1,000 people.
Right.
And it's a constant, my energy is constantly just like thrown at other people. I need to pour into me, because if you're not pouring into yourself, you will never have a cup to fill up anyone else's.
Yeah, you can't be a great mom.
Exactly. So I really realized that throughout COVID. And the thing was I was mentoring at this time. Oh my gosh, COVID, my business boomed with the sales company that I was working with, because everyone was at home. So they didn't want to go out. And I was working in like the beauty industry. So hair care products, skincare products, wellness products. And I feel like during COVID, everyone was just like on that train of just taking care of themselves and everything, which is amazing. I'm so happy that kind of made a big shift in our society. But when that happened, my business started booming, and the more people that I would talk to, and I would basically do like check-ins with hundreds of girls, and it would be 15 minutes or 30 minutes, and we'd talk about business, and then we'd talk a little bit about their personal life. And every single time I got on these calls with these girls, they're anywhere from 18 to 30 with kids.
Right.
I just connected with their personal life so much. But because we're in this business together and it's about making money at the end of the day, you got to focus more on the business aspect.
That's true.
And that's great. And I love it. And that's where my heart is also in business as well. I mean, that's why I'm here. That's why I enjoy all the things that I do. But when I could talk about their personal lives, and the more that I just wanted to like ask them more questions, like, how is the relationship going with your boyfriend? Or like, are you doing okay? Like, you've been kind of quiet lately. Like, I felt like I really couldn't dive in on those things without having this like, okay, well, now let's talk about sales strategies. Like, it just wasn't making my heart like flutter the way that having these personal connections were. So I just, back to your question, the life coaching, what is life coaching? I just feel like it's having someone to hold you accountable, and just make sure like for me, with all of my girls, the girls that I mentor, they're all now in different positions in their life. Some of them are still in college, and then other women are starting an Airbnb business. And then there's people that are like full-time nannies for like really, really wealthy families. So it's all over the place. And I'm just the person to say like, hey, like, how are you doing? Have you checked in with yourself recently? Like, do you feel good about where you're at? Have you had anything that kind of has come up recently? Like, do you have any feelings that are coming up that are maybe like you're not worthy, or you're not enough, or you're a little down? Like, how come you're feeling a little down? Do you know that your hormones are maybe out of whack? Like, just things that I'm able to point out to them that we can make connections where, like, a lot of the things that I talk about too is money beliefs. I love diving into money beliefs, because money beliefs to me is just like, I mean, it's the, like money doesn't grow on trees. I'm sure that like our parents have always said that. What are money beliefs? Yeah. So there's limited mindsets. There's I say like limitless. I've got like a limited and then limitless mindset. So I think that throughout our childhood, we are always influenced by our parents and by the people around us. Maybe your grandma raised you, and that's who was always around. And she told you money doesn't grow on trees, or she said, honey, like that's the rich people, like that's not ever going to be us, or we can't afford that. Like we can't spend our money there. And those things, they stick with you, and they stick with you until you're in your, until you realize. And a lot of times people don't realize. So they've got this fear of like maybe losing money. Like for my family, for example, just to go back into a little bit of my childhood, I grew up in Ohio, and I moved to Vegas when I was 10 years old. And when we were living in Ohio, we lived in a mansion. I grew up like Barbie in a dream house. It was ridiculous. Nice. Super, very, very thankful. But then the market took a crash. My dad was a business owner he had 70 employees of a market or of a mortgage broker, whatever, company. And he had a huge company. He was extremely doing so well. And we were living this life that to me was super normal. Super normal to be riding on golf carts. Super normal to be just having a pony at my birthday parties. Ridiculous now that I'm looking back. But back then
it was a Kardashian party before the Kardashians were big.
Yeah, exactly. It was literally just like that. It was ridiculous. But for us, it was just regular. It was so normalized because all of my best friends, they've got their huge trampolines in the backyard and the pool inside the house. Like just extravagant and ridiculous, but it was so normalized to me. So then when the market took a crash, my dad's business really, really tanked.
Was that in like 2008 to
2009?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we were like, we stayed in Ohio for a couple years after that, whatever. And then we finally left in like 2009, 2010.
Okay.
And when we moved, we moved this is going to sound ridiculous, but we moved from like a 10,000 square foot house in Ohio to a 4,000 square foot house. Which was that here
huge. In Vegas when you moved here? That's still massive for some.
It's ridiculous. But in my mind back then, I saw it as like we lost.
You took a huge step.
Which is still ridiculous. And I sound like a spoiled little brat saying this, but it's what my reality was. And it is.
You didn't know any different.
I didn't. And that's the thing too, which I'll talk about, is like our parents didn't know any different either. But yeah, so during that time, I think that my parents, they went through it on their end of things, and they were like, I think my dad losing a huge business, and then he went into being a manager at like Skechers.
Okay.
It was a huge drop, and it was a really big, it's a drop on your ego. It's a drop on your confidence.
Right.
And then like I remember, which I don't, maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I remember there was like a point where we didn't have access to the money that we needed, or that like my parents had it locked up somewhere or something. And it was like my dad's business, the people that he worked with, they were stealing his money out from underneath him. It was a really, really, really bad situation. And I remember at one point we were like, I just remember my parents saying like, we're going to be living on the streets.
Right.
And that stuck with me for so long.
Right.
And I saw, for me, this huge drop in income of like, okay, like, wow, money comes and goes real quick.
Yeah.
And it influenced me in my future to be like scared of me losing money.
Yeah.
So when I'm like in high school and I'm making my money or whatever, I pinched every single penny and I held onto my money so closely because I was so scared of losing all my money. And now that I'm older, I'm realizing that like, these little things that happen to us, they influence us so largely, and we don't really realize it until we make these connections later on down the road. And this is just one of the money beliefs that I had. I mean, I'm sure there's so many more things. And that's actually why I just now got my own life coach, because I want someone to pick my brain. I want to know why I am the way that I am, because I'm sitting here and I'm able to make these connections for others. And I'm like, hey, like, did you realize that maybe you are not liking your boyfriend right now because he's doing drugs and your parents were addicts? Like, did you ever make that connection or whatever? It's like simple things like that, but it's hard for people to make the connections when you're in it. When you're in those moments, you don't realize like, whoa, like I didn't realize that the guy that I'm in this relationship with is just like my dad. And it's so influencing throughout our entire lives. So yeah, I mean, money beliefs is a big one. Confidence is huge. Confidence when your mom, when you're raised and your mom is telling you, hey, like don't dress like that, or don't make sure your hair is combed. You can't leave the house like that. Are you kidding me?
Does look sloppy.
yeah, of course. But like, there's little things that maybe they're nitpicking of, or they're telling you like your tummy is too big, or you shouldn't wear something like that, or whatever. And it's these confidence like, they just take away from your confidence, and then you grow up and you're the one who kind of, you walk into a room with your head down, you're texting on your phone, or you're not really wanting to talk to anyone around you because you just don't believe in what you have to say. Maybe your dad told you to shut up and don't talk, and that made you feel like, wow, I've got nothing good in my life to say, so I'll just stay quiet. And it dims you as a person. And that's like the biggest thing for me is I want everyone to be the brightest version of themselves, no matter what it is. It could be you just enjoying what you're doing for work, or just you being a great mom, or whatever, or killing it in your sports, like whatever it is, but just doing what your heart knows that you should be doing, and listening to yourself and knowing yourself better than not only anyone knows you, but also better than you know anyone. We almost like know our partners or our kids better than we know ourselves. And that's not good. We need to know ourselves. We need to know, why are we the way that we are? How can we kind of take away maybe these layers that have like been put on top of us that aren't even our beliefs, but we are just sitting here and like taking them on and then living our lives throughout our entire lives with them.
Wow. So you're kind of like, I mean, do you kind of sometimes feel like a therapist as well?
Yeah,
people do. Okay.
I do. I do definitely feel like a therapist sometimes, but I love that. I love when I can have like a really good heart to heart with one of my girls and them just like them break down and start crying because I know that they've got no safe space to do that.
Right.
And I feel the same way where I'm like, man, like there's days that I do want to just cry because I'm overwhelmed and whatever, and life is just not going the way that I planned it to go that day, and I just need to cry, but I don't want to cry because then you're crying and then the rest of your day is like upset and whatever. And so just being able to be that person that people can feel like they can come to and just like be honest with, and also like just to talk and just to be open, because instead you've got these things that are spinning in your mind over and over. And that's exactly why I journal so much, because I've got such an intense mind that's going a million miles a minute. You can probably understand that from the way that I'm speaking right now. I'm like always going like 100 miles.
I tend to talk too much and too fast for a lot of people, so I get it.
Yeah, I know. I need to slow it down.
You're fine. You're perfectly fine.
That's the thing is like, my mind's always going. I'm thinking about what I have going on. I'm thinking about, like maybe something happened last week that I hadn't really like processed or thought about much. And I just kept moving, kept going, and kept staying distracted. And then you're on your phone, and then you're at work, and then you're talking with your husband or whoever, and you're not checking in with yourself.
Right.
And that's why like just journaling, I journal almost every single day. Just, it could be the most random things. It can be what I have going on for the day, or it can be like, wow, like I don't know why, but I keep thinking about this one person, and then you're maybe talking about the memories that you had with them. Like it's really so open, and whatever it might be. I actually ended up launching my own journal. I put together my own journal and launched it the beginning of this year. I launched it on like January like 4th or something.
Nice.
And that was such a huge step for me. That was so awesome and so exciting.
Is it a journal? It's just a blank journal that people can purchase.
It has journal prompts in it.
Oh,
so
it does.
Gives you like kind of your guide to then go and like kind of go deeper into these questions and stuff.
Wow.
Some of them are like as simple as like, oh, like what are you grateful for today? Or where do you want to where do you want to be in 2 years from now? Things like that. A lot of vision casting. I think it's important to recognize what your dreams and goals are and write them down and be intentional about working towards them.
Do you have like a vision board at home?
I absolutely do. On my phone, on my laptop, all over. I'm very intentional about those things because I believe that the more that you can train your subconscious to be like focused on those things, or you really can't train your subconscious, but the more that you can train yourself to be focused on these things, the more that you're going to just be
manifesting
led. You're led in those directions and down those paths. I'm a big avid believer of manifesting for sure. I feel like that's kind of where how I'm in this situation right now, being interviewed on a podcast.
No, I mean that's awesome.
It's really special.
So what is the name of your journal?
Yes,
and where can they
it is called Elevate.
Elevate?
Yes. Okay. So I actually don't have many left. So if you want one, you can DM me on Instagram. My Instagram is Sav Schaffer.
Okay.
You can DM me and I can ship one out to you.
Nice.
But I've got that. And then there's like a couple like masterclass, like little videos that come with it just to kind of dive in a little bit more on these topics of manifesting and vision casting and visualization and just all of those types of things. So it's really special.
Very cool.
That was like a very cool project.
What made you think of putting this journal together? Of course you journal every day, but what made you come up with the idea like, you know what, I can actually like sell this?
So that's funny you ask. So I like you just said, I've been journaling forever and I've always kind of shared my journal prompts on social media. Okay. And I just like, I don't know where they come from. I feel like they're downloads from the universe. I feel like for somehow I just get these like intuitive thoughts that I'm just like, oh, like, what could I journal about today? And a thought comes to me and I have a question for the day. So it's really, really random, but I started sharing them on social media and so many people started DMing me and saying like, hey, like, I just want to say thank you because you made me start journaling and now like I love it so much and I'm doing it all the time and whatever. And like, I'm always following your journal prompts, like keep them coming.
Right.
And it always felt so good to hear that from people. And so the more that I would hear it, like, I knew that maybe creating my own journal would be something that I would again do in the future, and that would be something that I would do years from now. But my boyfriend was like, well, what could be like the next thing for you? Mm-hmm. What would you want to do? And he knows like all of my goals of speaking on stages and all of these things mm-hmm. and having my own jewelry line and possibly designing a journal and being a YouTuber and like all these things. And he was like, why couldn't we just make you journals right now? Right. Like, why don't we just start taking action and looking into it? Yeah. He's like, why don't we just start looking into it and see what it actually would look like? And it was just such a simpler process mm-hmm. than I thought. I sat down, I wrote out like 50 prompts. Right. And we tweaked them all. We made them perfect and really like just very intentional about each and every prompt and why we put them each on every single page and the order that we went in and everything. And he helped me out with this too. I was so thankful to have just someone who would give me his insights and things because he's a very manly man. Like this is not something I would think that he's going to have any interest in, but he believes in just personal development and working on yourself. So he was like, I'm all for this. Like you're making an impact on people and let's do it together. So he actually fronted the money for me to purchase all the journals and then I paid him back from everything that we made and whatever. Yeah, the profits. Nice. And I realized like I remember just the first day his mom actually was my first order and that was so special. She like bought 2 journals from me and then all of a sudden it was so many more people just flooding and I had like I don't know, maybe half of them sold on the first day.
Did you post it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or was it like referrals? All I did was just post. I posted and shared it and I sat there and I crossed my fingers and I said, I hope this does well. Mm-hmm. And I definitely built some hype around it. Like I did some live videos of just like journal sessions with Sav and like that was really cool for people to kind of get a little bit more of an insight of like, okay, what did she like journal about? Or what is this even, what could this possibly be on? So yeah, when I launched it, I had just insane support from people that I did cheer with when I was in middle school or like just anyone and everyone. And it was such a special thing for me. And that's when I think I realized like, wow, like I have a lot of support outside of just the community that I had with my business prior to. So I was like, you know what? Like I really felt like I got that confidence from it and just so many people that have it, they love it so much. They all ended up sharing it on their social media because they were like, this is so cool. Like Savannah, I'm so proud of you. And like just seeing that was just such a special moment. I just remember like sitting at the kitchen table, like just packaging all of these journals and just crying of just gratitude. Like, wow, this is actually happening and seeing your vision come to life with something like that. It's so special. And we know that I want to come out with more journals in the future for sure that are like higher quality and upgraded and stuff. But this was our test run and it went really, really well. And I'm so thankful for it.
How many did you actually create?
We printed only 100.
Okay.
And I sold like 50 of them on the first day.
Wow.
And I was so surprised on that. And then it like just kept going the next couple days. I got more and more. And now I'm down to like maybe 10-ish left. But we want to do another order. We're just kind of waiting for like the demand that we can. But yeah, it went way better than I could have imagined. It was
Good
so
for
cool.
you. That's exciting.
It was so cool.
Yeah. So like when I was a kid, I used to I guess you call it, that's what it was, journaling. But I always like, dear diary, right?
Same.
So I did that as a kid. Like, oh, you know what? I said hi to my school crush today and he winked.
Same.
So that was a huge thing. So is like when you're journaling today, is it just your day-to-day, like, you know, dear diary, the baby threw up all over me today and it ruined. I mean, what are you journaling about? Just your thoughts or ideas?
Yeah, a lot of it is like thoughts and ideas and kind of where I'm at with what I'm working on. I'm always working on a lot of different things in the business world. Yeah, it's really, really fun. I feel like I've got this like mind that just goes so fast, but it has all these random ideas that I have to get them on paper. And also like sometimes it's me not feeling super overwhelmed because oh my gosh, I haven't had like a moment to myself in a week because
when you have a baby, you basically have a newborn.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's a lot.
It's a lot. And right now she's 5 months, so things are definitely more manageable and you're not sleep deprived. Right. That's like the biggest thing.
I was sleep deprived a lot with my kids. So
I'm thankful she's like sleeping like 12 hours sometimes a night. And I'm like, girl, I love you so much. But I mean, in the beginning, postpartum, my gosh, your mental health is not there and it's not good. And when you can really like for me, I had to release those thoughts.
So you write it down and it helps you.
Exactly.
Okay.
I write every single thing down, whether it's me being overwhelmed or it's me being so excited because, oh my gosh, I have this podcast I'm going on or whatever. Like it can be anywhere from like the sad things that like, wow, like I really miss my grandma that just passed or those things too. Like just not having someone to go to. And also when it comes from yourself and when you're just putting it on paper, you've got no judgment from anyone.
Right.
You don't have to answer anyone's questions. No one's there to be like, oh, but why'd you respond like that to that person? No, you're just like, man, I wish I would have like handled this situation a little bit better when I was at Chipotle and the person was rude in front of me and I was rude back. Like,
well, and I think it's nice that you journal and you don't like get on social media and do a random post or rant about it, and then people start chiming in, and they get you all riled up, and so I mean,
I've been there too.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Have you?
Yeah.
So I do want to ask because I mean, you are, you have a huge following from what I've seen. People love what your content is, and you're a content creator as well. Yeah. So are there days where you mentioned being overwhelmed? Totally. Do you ever like just want to shut down? Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to create any content. I don't want to sell journals. I don't want to be a life coach. Like, do you ever have those moments? Because you do so much, plus being a new mom.
Yeah. So I avoid those moments by making sure I'm taking care of myself.
Okay.
Because in the beginning, I remember when I first had Aria, my daughter.
That's a pretty name.
Thank you. Right after she was born, it was probably maybe like 4 weeks after.
Okay.
I just remember having a moment like on the couch with my boyfriend, and we looked at each other and we were like, man, like, are you feeling what I'm feeling right now?
Yeah.
Like, we are in the thick of it.
Like, you can't put this baby back where it came from, so we're here, we're in it. We
seriously. And I mean, even our story, me and his story together is just ridiculous. Like, just how fast things progressed and whatever. And then we're having a baby and just all of the things. But yeah, we just looked at each other and we were like, man, like, we're really going through it right now. And that moment for me just showed me like, I have to prioritize myself.
Right.
And if you don't take days to disconnect from everyone else, for at least for me, I knew I wasn't going to be able to continue to operate in the energy that I was. Like, I went back to work like 4 weeks after she was born. But also, I mean, I was in the hospital, like filming like the entire time, like with a bunch of different things, like being really honest about my situation and all the things. But just to me, sharing on social media never really feels like a job. So I'm thankful. Like, it's never something that I have to plan or think out. I really, it's always just comes so naturally to me. But like, yeah, for me to be creating all these different concepts for companies that I work with. I work with tons of companies with my content creation side of things. And for me to have this like energy of just being excited and happy and all of these things, like, I wouldn't be this person if I didn't take time for myself. If I need a day to just I go do this all the time. I go to Red Rock and I sit in my car and I journal and I just meditate and I take a second for me because I need it and I know myself. And like, I think that a lot of the times that people do get super overwhelmed in that way where they're just like, I'm done with life. I can't stand this. I feel like I'm like, whatever, you run yourself into a wall. You're just go. And
then you just crash.
Exactly. And then you crash. And so I have been so intentional about not crashing. I'm like, I don't want to crash. I hate that feeling. I never want to be at the point where I resent what I'm doing or whatever. And so I'll take days to disconnect from social media for sure. I take like a Sunday very, very often, like a couple times a month. And then I also go on like trips with my boyfriend where we're completely disconnected. We don't have our phones with us. Like, we're just in the moment and present. And like, I think also just spending a lot of time in nature, that always brings me back to just myself. Peaceful. Yeah. And just to just not be hearing a baby's toy going off or just like something, anything. You're just able to just tune out and tune in and focus inwards. And that's the way that I'm very intentional about my self-care. So I never end up getting to the point where I'm like, I hate this because in reality, I love what I do for work. I love every single aspect. I'm super thankful to be in that because I'm sure like just like anyone else, we've all worked jobs that we hate. Yeah. We've all been in times where we feel really, really low. But I think that because of how intentional I am with my mental health, I'm thankful that I don't have those super low moments. Right. And I also like going back to what I said in the beginning of just like my family and stuff. I've seen mental health be
Right.
low, and I've seen my siblings that are
Right.
younger than me not take care of themselves
Right.
and lead themselves down paths that break my heart. And for me to see that and be an older sister to it, I'm like, man, I have to set the best example for everyone. I've got 2 older brothers and 3 younger sisters.
Wow.
Yeah. So for me, I'm like, I feel like the older sister to all of us. Like I really feel like I'm there for everyone, but I just want to set this example of just being very connected with yourself, connected with others, and also just following your freaking passions and your dreams and your goals, because we're so capable of accomplishing them. It's really just putting one step in front of the other and figuring it out, and like not being so intimidated by, oh my gosh, that's what I want to get to. Like that sounds so hard or so big. Like, no, it comes one step at a time. You just have to start working towards those things. And thankfully, my boyfriend has really put that into perspective for me. He's just like, awesome. Savannah, like let's just see what that looks like. Like, what does this business actually entail? Yeah. Like for my life coaching, oh my gosh, it fell kind of into my lap. I was like on some calls with some girls that were just like, hey, they were wanting to basically connect with me for the old business that I was in.
Okay.
And like doing sales through social media and stuff. And they were like, I really just love that you're so focused on personal development. I love that you're always sharing podcasts. I love that you're always meditating and journaling and doing all these things for you. But I don't really know if I want to learn like a business right now.
Right.
And that was just like, I had 2 calls just almost exactly the same of just being like, I just want like your energy. I just want like you and what you have to offer. Like, I just like being like close with you. And that was so cool for me to be like, wait, like people actually see value in like the things that I take time to really learn and like uncover and things. And so I literally pitched them on the phone, and I was like, you know what? Let's work together for the next 4 weeks. Let's see what happens. And once I did that, and I realized, I remember doing my first like life coaching session, and I was like, holy crap, this is what I'm meant to do. Like, this is it. This is it for sure. And I knew that I was supposed to be in this space somehow, but like that call, connecting with that specific girl and all of those things, it just was so special for me. And then I was like, I know this is what I want to do. And it's exactly what it's been since then. It's been great.
So do you get a lot of inquiries on, life coaching?
I do.
Okay. Can
social
you take
media,
all of the inquiries, or are there some where you're like, you know what, I don't think it's a good fit?
Yeah, there's definitely, it's hard because there's some people that they want this help that they're not willing to do any of the work.
They're not
themselves.
open to it. Yeah.
Or they're not willing to maybe like, I want to ask them questions about their childhood, and they don't even want to open it. And so
interesting.
That's fine. I understand it. But in reality, that's the shadow work, and that's the hard stuff.
Right.
And if you want to get better, if you want to be, let's say like you're really depressed and you are trying to figure out where that source is or what's causing you so much anxiety, but you really can't even open up about those things, you're not going to find the source of it. You're going to be stuck in this rat race, this cycle over and over of just feeling these same feelings and digging your hole deeper and deeper because you're choosing to stay there, unfortunately. And I don't want to sound harsh, but you are. And there's a different way of living, but you have to be open to it. You have to be open with others.
Right.
And so there are some people that I've inquired, and I can tell they really want to help, and I'm there to help them as much as I can. But if like they're not willing to meet me halfway, there's only so much that I can do.
Yeah.
And then there's people that are like, girl, like, I know I need you. I know that I need your help. I'm willing to get out of my comfort zone. Whether it's like, I had one girl that I've been working with for the last couple months, and she's like finally posting her first post on social media.
Nice.
And it's so cool because I'm like, girl, let me show you how easy this is. Like, let me show you.
It's not that difficult.
Yeah. And it's so cool for her to be so excited and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know it was that simple. Like, let me just go ahead and do it. And like, that was a huge challenge in her mind prior to me just saying, hey, click this button, do this.
Right.
And now she's having this breakthrough where she's now going on and she wants to go mentor others.
Nice.
And like, that's just me being able to plant this little seed in her mind of belief, and her being able to take off with that and grow. And that's incredible. It's so cool. And it's so cool for me to see somebody that's just like man, like the first call that they're with me, they're very like quiet and like kind of squirrely.
And they start
and
to
like,
break out of their
yeah.
shell.
And then they're
That's
like,
awesome.
let me tell you about what happened this week. And it's so special. But I definitely do get some inquiries. Most of them through Instagram and Facebook. Like people just see my stories. I'm really open about my mental health in my stories. And I talk about the things that I'm learning and that I'm struggling with so that people realize that like, it's good to work on these things. Yeah. It's not like something you need to hide. We all go through it in some way or another. And when we can just be open and honest and vulnerable, we can connect in a different way and really help each other and support each other. That's like the biggest thing. It's so cool to have, like you were saying with your breast cancer, like having friends that then they were like, oh wow, like I didn't know you were going through that. Now they're there to support you. And that's so awesome.
I check in on them every so often.
Exactly. Because
it does suck when, you don't have people who check in on you.
100%.
I had a ton of people. It was a great support system. But for those individuals, I'll check in or I'll send them a gift here and there. And they're like, thank you so much. And some of them have unfortunately have gone through a lot worse than a situation than I have, or they've had other side effects worse than mine. So, so I definitely reach out just to check in on them because I know it's tough. It's tough. And especially when you start going through chemo for sure and you start losing your hair, it's definitely an adjustment. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my hair. It's going to have to grow out and take time, but you know what? Hair is hair. It grows out. And honestly, it's grown out a lot thicker. So I'm actually grateful for that. Yeah.
It looks good.
So like with you, so you've got a lot going on. You're a brand new mom.
Yeah.
You have a journal that's been doing really well, selling, all the prints that you printed. And now you have this life coaching business. You're a content creator. Like what's next for you in the next few years? Like where do you see yourself going?
Yeah. So definitely speaking on stages. I'm so excited for that. Okay. It like brings tears to my eyes just thinking about it because I really have always had this vision for myself. Yeah. And even when I like meditate, I don't know where these thoughts come from, but I just know that that's exactly the place that I want to be. And I have these visions of me holding my daughter's hand and kissing my husband or my boyfriend, husband eventually, but just kissing him before I go off and like telling her like, I want to set this example for my daughter that she's just like, holy crap, my mom is such a rock star and like just goes after the things that I want. So here coming up in this fall, I'm really excited to be speaking in schools. That's kind of what I want to start with.
Awesome.
I'm going to just kind of approach some of my teachers that have stayed connected with me over the years and just be like, hey, like, can I come speak about mental health in your classrooms?
And they need that. They definitely need that.
They need it more than anyone, I believe. Yes. And I would love to be that person that people, like, I don't want to be the one who's preaching. I want to be the one that's like, hey, like, I know you have no reason to listen to me because I remember sitting in those bleachers and somebody would speak in front of me and I wouldn't care.
I can say this, you are, because you're so young. Like, I love the energy that you have because you're so young. Like, I'm old enough to be your mother. My daughter is like a year younger than you.
Yeah.
And she's very outspoken amongst her friends, but in the public speaking, like, she won't do it, right?
Yeah.
And all my kids ask me, they're like, don't you ever get tired of like speaking? I'm like, no, not really. That's just what I do.
Yeah.
But for you have all this positive energy, and I think you can connect better with them than opposed to, I'm sure back in your day when you saw speakers up, like counselors or whatnot, they were a little bit older.
Yeah.
And I hate to be rude, but they were like boring, right? So you're fun, you're energetic.
Yeah.
You've got this Barbie thing going on, you're hot pink. So like, I'm loving it because that's what's trending right now, right?
Totally.
We just had like a gala at the last conference I was at, and everybody wore it. Was
everything's
Rose
Barbie.
Rodeo was the theme, and everyone was in pink, champagne, rosé, like hot pink. So love it. But I think you can connect with those students.
I agree.
You're a lot more entertaining, to listen to, and you're not just this boring school counselor that they have to deal with. So I think you're going to do amazing at it.
Thank you. I'm so excited for it. And I see that as like, it's the kids that are still at school with my sisters. Yeah. And I want to be that person. Like my sister, my youngest sister is 13.
Okay.
And I mean, I feel like she's my baby. Like I feel like I raised her. It's crazy.
Like you babysat her all the time.
Yes. Like I was the one waking up with her as an infant.
Aww.
Like my parents would pay me $1 a night to wake up with her in the middle of the night as many times as she woke up and fed her. Because I just wanted to be, I loved mothering.
So you're meant to be a mom.
Yes, exactly. It's so special. But yeah, so like I want to be that person for all of these kids and for not just kids, but for everyone to just be like, man, I just didn't know that there was these ways of thinking. I mean, before I found personal development, I was, no one knows this, but I was so negative. My parents always called me the instigator.
Really?
I was the problem starter. I was in the dean's office more than anyone else.
I would have never thought that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I realized that I remember just picking up a book. It's called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero.
Okay.
And it's a great like personal development book to just get into. She's like 40 and she's like amazing. I love her so much.
I saw that sitting in my living room.
Yes. Yeah.
I think my sister-in-law.
I've got a bunch of them. But yeah, like that was the first book that I had picked up my sophomore year of high school. And I was like, wait, there's people that have thought the way that I thought and now they think this way, like, huh? And I thought before that we all were the way that we were because my parents aren't into personal development. No one in my family, I'm definitely the black sheep out of everyone, even in my extended family. I feel like I'm really different than everyone else. And so for me to like open up in these ways and to shift, all of my siblings are like, what the heck? Like they're very surprised by who I am today. And it's really awesome. But I just wouldn't have expected from the person that I was back then to become who I am now.
Right.
But it's all work, and it's me listening to hundreds of podcasts and hundreds of audibles and like really doing the dirty work and like asking myself why have I mistrusted friends in the past, or like why do I have this feeling inside of me that I can't trust my next move, or I can't trust others, like where does that come from, and breaking those things down and figuring those things out.
So I think you make a key point on that. You said doing the work. So like I know a ton of people that you can listen and read. You can listen to podcasts and read self-help books all day long. But until you actually do the work,
implement
it's
what
not
they're
going to
saying.
help you. Right. So I love that. So with you, like your day to day, do you get up every morning? Is there like a daily affirmation that you start your day off with, or is there a daily routine that you like to start your day off with?
So I've always been a very routine oriented person, like since I was a little girl. And I mean, before I had my baby, I was always, every single night before I went to sleep, I was journaling. I'd wake up, I'd stay off my phone. I would like just be out in the sun. I would make sure that I like pour into myself before pouring into others, and listen to my podcast and go to the gym and all these things. So now with having Aria, I mean, things are so different and they're unpredictable, and my schedule's all over the place and whatever. And I'm just kind of like, I'm in this season of flow is how I like to refer to it. So I'm like, we're just flowing because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know when you're going to have a beautiful outfit on, you're ready to take content, and then your spit up is all over your face. And you're like, okay, we're in the flow. It's fine. This is totally fine. So since now having her, I feel like for a little bit, let me back up a little bit. When I first got pregnant, I had just moved in with my boyfriend.
Okay.
I moved in, and then we found out I was pregnant about a week or two later.
Okay.
Crazy how life hits you hard or fast.
You guys were moving like really fast.
Super fast. It was wild. We were wilding out. So when I like moved in with him, I felt like I lost a piece of myself because I'm in bed with him, so I'm not journaling every single night.
Right.
I'm not waking up in the morning in my own energy, not thinking about anyone else. Right. And so everything kind of shifted from then. And then once I got pregnant and I was kind of a couple months in, I was like, okay, I really need to get back to like the things that make me happy. And I knew that journaling is my like number one for sure. Meditating, I've gone through seasons where I'm meditating every single day, and then sometimes it's like I take a couple months off, and then it's reading every single day, and then it's a couple months off and whatever. So I now am finally at this point where I've mastered how to feed my daughter and journal at the same time.
Nice.
Winning.
That's awesome.
That's huge. So I've figured out how to do that. And then, I mean, I'm just in the morning, I'm like making sure to connect with myself, my daughter, my boyfriend. I'm always hitting the gym every single morning, or at least getting some movement in. Right. If I can't hit the gym because my boyfriend's working, I'm doing yoga or I'm doing a Pilates on YouTube. I'm always moving my body. I think that's the best energy shifter. Like if you're having a horrible day, go
get up and get moving.
Get up and get moving. Exactly. Like go for a walk or something. Yeah. So I'm kind of getting back to that. And then I was someone who I used to work every single minute of every single day, especially during COVID. I was a total workaholic. It was insane. It was great for my bank account, but not good for my
mental health.
And just I wasn't present. I feel like I remember just a fraction of that time because I was just working so hard and didn't take a second to slow down and whatever. So now I'm really focused on like I have my mornings to kind of work, and I have my little sister, my 13-year-old sister. She'll come over and she'll watch Aria for a couple hours, and she'll play with her, and then I'll have my time to actually work my business and take some content and whatever, which is so much fun for me, and I enjoy it so much. And then I'm usually disconnecting, and I'm just zoning out the rest of the world by 6 o'clock. And
you're like being present for your family.
Exactly. Like I said, I've been in that situation where I remember working from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I loved what I did. But I just didn't feel like I was living. And I was not saying yes to plans. I was just working so much and so hard. And it's so nice now to be at this place where I have this trust. Trust is like my word recently. Is just trusting the process and trusting the universe, God, whatever you believe in, that like it's gonna work out. You're gonna be fine. And I found that with like having my daughter, I had to scale back on work. And this is the least I've ever worked, but the most passionate I've ever been, the most energy I've ever had, and like the best place that I've ever been in my life. But it's because the feminine energy of myself, of having a daughter, and like that being mommying, just being such a huge part of my life, that I have to let go of the reins. I have to just trust. I hope this works out, and I hope that the opportunities that are meant for me are going to be in my life, and I trust that they're going to be there, and I have faith that everything that's meant for me is going to come my way, and I'm never going to miss an opportunity that's supposed to be mine. It was the same with this podcast. Like with me coming on your podcast, it didn't bother me that you didn't respond to me a couple weeks later, because I was just like, perfect timing.
This
is divine timing. Like, this is perfect. I just see everything as like, it's always working out for me to be the best person that I can be and to serve the most people, because I know that that's what I want to do at the end of the day. I know that I am really impacting people. And if I'm impacting people, everything's going to work out. It will, because I'm here for a good reason, and I'm here to help people. And so, just having that trust and the faith, and making sure that you're showing up every single day, working towards the things that you want, but then also taking time for you. It's a balance, and it's a juggle of a bunch of different things. But like, when you can master it and also be okay with the days that you're not mastering it, it's being in a flow, and it helps things just move along really well.
Awesome. So where can people find you? What's your Instagram handle again?
So my Instagram handle is Sav Schaffer. It's SAVSCHAFFER. That's my Instagram. That's my TikTok too.
Do you have a Facebook at all?
Yeah, I do have a Facebook. My Facebook is Savannah Schaffer. And I'm pretty active on everything. I'm trying to be better about being active on all of my platforms so that I can really, I'm sure you know, just touch as many lives as I can. But I'm always creating content and sharing so many different things and all of that.
So, and where can they email you?
Yes. So my email is pinkdiamondsmedia at gmail.com. My email, it's pnkdmnds at gmail.com. No one's going to know how to spell it if I don't spell it out.
It's okay. No worries. I mean, and most people will probably just go to your Instagram and DM you, I'm sure.
Yeah, and you can always DM me. I'm always on Instagram all the time.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your story and your journey. Like, I'm excited to continue following you and learning from you, because you have so much knowledge, to give. And I wish you well in your future endeavors. I know you've got a lot going for you. You're so young. You have so many more years ahead of you. And with your energy, I think you're just going to do amazing.
You're so sweet. Thank you. And thank you for giving me the space to talk about these things and to be just open about it, because it's cool to have somebody to hear you out and really listen and like be interested in these things. So
absolutely. I'm all about trying to promote everybody who isn't really out there yet.
Thank you.
You know, a lot of my listeners and the viewers out there on my YouTube channel, they always go, hey, that was a really great podcast. Like, I had no idea, because they'll find out your history, how you started and your background. So thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
Awesome. Well, you enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll definitely keep staying in touch with you.
Yes, you too.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Savannah.
Bye.